This week on the Andrew Yang podcast.
I want to fight it by actually creating something that's more fun. I want to do something that you're going to enjoy more, Andrew. You're going to enjoy being on SportsPredict, making your UFC predictions more than you're going to enjoy being on DraftKings. We're trying to take a vice and turn it into a virtue. I don't think we need to necessarily fight this on the legislator level, the legal. That's going to be a tough fight. That's going to take a long time. I just actually want to create something that's actually more fun.
It is my pleasure to welcome to the podcast for the very first time, former hedge fund manager, investor, entrepreneur, and now the founder of SportsPredict, Steve Kuhn. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So you and I connected a little while ago on what now became SportsPredict. First, let's spill the beans and tell people, what the heck is SportsPredict?
It is a platform where people can make predictions on sporting events, anything from NFL to college football to English soccer to UFC, you name it, you can make predictions. And we keep a track record of how good your predictions are and give you a chance to prove that you are more knowledgeable and a better predictor than other people. We see this as an interesting and more fun alternative to what we see in sports gambling. Sports gambling, obviously, we've seen an incredible wave of advertising and growth in sports gambling since 2018, when the Supreme Court case kind of paved the way for legalization at a state-by-state level. And while I'm not necessarily philosophically opposed to gambling in theory, I do think for some people it's not something that's good for them. It's certainly not something that everybody wants to do. And I know that you've talked about the issue of some of the harms that sports gambling can do. And that's why I reached out to you a few months ago and said, we're actually trying to create an alternative that's more fun, that everyone can play, and actually gives you something different. You might be able to win money on FanDuel or DraftKings, although very few people actually do. About 3% actually do.
Wow, it's that low? Wow.
It's that low because they take a significant rake. Yeah, they take a rake. They take a rake that's so high that that means that it's very rare for people to win. Not only do they take a big rake, but they actually encourage you to do things like the parlays, which actually are the biggest rakes. And if you look at their advertising, they're really pushing people not only to gamble, but to gamble in the ways that are probably the worst ways for them to do so. And that's probably not helping everyone for sure.
Wow. So there's a lot to unpack. This will be a lot of fun. But first, give people the capsule biography of yourself. So are you a math major from Harvard? Is that right? And where did you grow up? And what brought you to this juncture? Because you're at a point in your career where you could do just about anything. But I think somewhere pickleball plays a role. So give people
Sure.
the quick Steve origin story.
Sure. So I tell people I grew up obsessed with board games. I was a chess player since age 6. I've had a chess rating since age 6. Was a competitive junior chess player at a reasonably high level. Went on to study school. I actually studied economics at Harvard, but I focused on an aspect of economics called game theory. I actually had a class with Professor Thomas Schelling, who won the Nobel for game theory. And it's about the idea of game theory is how do you use the ideas that you learn from strategy of playing games to make better choices in real life. For example, Professor Schelling's work had a lot to do with thinking about nuclear deterrence and how do we stop from having a nuclear war. And he was someone that was in the discussions during the Cuban Missile Crisis, for example. So it obviously has implications outside of playing Settlers of Catan. There are reasons to study game theory. After I graduated from Harvard in economics and game theory, I asked myself the question, what's the closest thing I can do to playing a game that I can get paid for? And I thought that was hedge fund, working at a hedge fund. Kind of your daily P&L is kind of whether you won or lost the game that day. And I worked at a number of the top hedge funds in the world, including Citadel, I worked at Goldman Sachs Asset Management, and then was part of a $14 billion, CIO of a $14 billion hedge fund called Pine River Capital, and had a good track record during that period. And everything about being a hedge fund manager is really about being a good predictor. Can I find something in data that tells me this stock is undervalued, or this bond is undervalued, or this market is undervalued, or something is mispriced? Is there a reason why people are making a mistake in this market that I can understand at a higher level than other people? I think the core of being an investment manager of any kind is being a better predictor. And so I've thought for years and years about how does one become a better predictor? How do you think about doing that? Are there techniques and ways of learning about that can make you better? And the answer to all those questions, I believe, is yes. And yet, while it's incredibly important to be good at predictions, it's estimated that companies and governments spend about $50 billion a year on predictions. There's very little coursework on how to be a good predictor. There's very little teaching of that skill set. And that's something that I would like to change.
So first, Steve, where did you grow up? What part of the country?
Grew up in Minnesota.
Wow. So you grew up in Minnesota, you come east for college, and then did you wind up rattling around New York and Wall Street when you were hedge funding it up?
Yeah, I worked at a couple different places. I was at Chicago for Citadel, but a lot of time in New York. Yeah.
Now, you referenced what I'd written about online sports gambling.
Yeah.
And I want to unpack this in detail. And also, I will out myself in various ways, though I've probably talked about this in other contexts, so it's not that much of a secret. But it's one reason why I love what you're building with SportsPredict, because I'm a FanDuel user, and what I joke about is that it plays perfectly into what men want, because it's sports, it's money, it's risk, it's speed, it's decision making, it's thinking you know something other people don't. Yeah. It can be social. Like I do text my friends or brother-in-law sometimes, being like, "Hey, like, you know, what do you think about this?" Or like, I'm going to make a bet on this. So I am a user. Now, I'm a user who never bets more than an amount I'm totally comfortable losing. But I'm also someone who can look society-wide and develop a point of view as to how this is being used by other people.
Yeah.
And so some of the stats that people should find alarming, number one is for every dollar that's used on these gambling apps, people invest 2 fewer dollars. Yeah. And that in states where this has been legalized, savings go down and domestic violence goes up. Now, that's a very dark thing to hear, but when you think about the fact pattern, and as a user, I can speak to this, can you imagine someone making a parlay bet and then someone blowing like the second or third leg of the parlay and then being very upset about it, and maybe being upset about it in a way that puts them into like a sour mood, and then they end up arguing with their partner because they're both in a bad mood and there might be money troubles on tap. So I'm someone who understands the appeal of these gambling apps all too well, but also thinks that their widespread legalization was a mistake. And also the fact that now that every major sports media company is in cahoots with them, where I turn on ESPN and there are literally attractive people telling me about bets I should make. Is very much losing the thread. And also, by the way, you know who else feels this acutely is the athletes themselves.
Yes.
Because it's very dehumanizing. People yell at them about how they lost the parlay, or they need to get a certain score or number of points for them to win, and it has nothing to do with the win-loss of the team, which would be a relatively normal thing. But it's more that you have to get a certain box score in order for my bet to pay off.
On your point about the harms, we got as close to almost like a controlled experiment as possible, in that what the 2018 Supreme Court case did is it allowed states to make it legal. And not every state has done that yet, and certainly states did it at different periods of time. So when you look at the data on harms, you can look at two states who might be next to each other with very similar populations, one made sports gambling legal and the other one didn't. And then you can look at data on home foreclosures, on bankruptcies, on car foreclosures. You can look at data even more tragically on suicides. And all those numbers tend to get worse in states that have legalized sports gambling.
Thank you, listeners. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, send them to mailbag@andrewyang.com, and we'll do our best to answer them. Thank you. I'm not much of a cook. I enjoy getting my meals. It takes a lot of consideration, and I don't like to think very much. There are a number of things I don't like to do. And when you get a Factor meal, you know it's going to be tasty, healthy. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready to eat. Just heat them up in a few minutes, and you will be eating fresh, healthy food in no time. My favorite is the horseradish encrusted chicken. And I have to say, you can tell the meals are healthy even as they taste great. You know that sweet spot? That's what these meals hit. Get started at factormeals.com/yang50 off and use code yang50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code yang50 off at factormeals.com/yang50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/yang50 off. Yeah, I had a friend who got himself into some trouble where he made a bunch of bets that he shouldn't have and then racked up debt and was very ashamed. And when I found out about this, I was like, oh no, because in this particular case, this person has a lovely family. Yeah. I feared that the marriage might be really harmed. And this is not unusual, unfortunately. These situations play out even more dramatically in the ways that you're describing. There are very, very clear data points. And one of the things that I have actually urged state legislators to do is to look at the data and not legalize this in their state. I think one of the biggest holdouts is the state of California. And by the way, I will also give this story. So check it out. Again, I use the apps. I'm a FanDuel user. And then I spend a bit of time in California, and then I can't use the app anymore. Yeah. And then at first I'm like, oh man, I can't bet on these games. But then after a minute, not after a minute, after a couple of days, then I just forget about it. And I pay attention to other things, like maybe my kids. So if you're a state legislator, you should look at the data and not legalize online sports gambling.
Yeah, and I think this is an issue, by the way, that crosses partisan lines. You've talked about this, and another person who's, I think, generally viewed on the left is Professor Scott Galloway has talked with us. But we've seen this come from people like Tucker Carlson. I've actually spoken about this issue as well. I think there actually is kind of a growing bipartisan feeling on this issue, that this has probably gone too far. Every commercial you see is for during any sporting event is for this. They're doing, like you said, talking about prop bets during the game. But I don't want to fight it by necessarily making it illegal, or I want to fight it by actually creating something that's more fun. I want to do something that you're going to enjoy more, Andrew. You're going to enjoy being on SportsPredict, making your UFC predictions more than you're going to enjoy being on DraftKings. Because what you can do is now you can set up a lobby yourself and have as many of your friends as you want, and you can all make the predictions on the certain UFC event and have a leaderboard of which one of you has done better. And it's also more inclusive. You can include people that don't want to gamble or have either ethical or religious concerns with it. You can play with your kids. You can use this as a way of teaching your children.
Or monetary concerns where they just don't have the money.
Yeah, exactly. And so now you can take something that is, in many ways often harmful to people, and create something that's actually really fun and something that actually helps people learn how to be better predictors and to think about that idea. We're trying to take a vice and turn it into a virtue. I don't think we need to necessarily fight this on the legislator level, the legal. That's going to be a tough fight, and that's going to take a long time. I also actually want to create something that's actually more fun. And I think I want to encourage you and everyone on this podcast to try SportsPredict.com and see if we can make it more fun together.
Well, no, I love your approach, Steve. And so first, occasionally I am in position to influence policies. I talked to a state legislator in New York just this week. And the person actually asked me about this issue, and I was like, hey, it's gone too far. How many states have allowed online sports gambling?
I believe the number now is 38. It's either 37 or 38. I think it's 38 at this point. But there's lots of other workarounds as well. Kalshi and Poly markets are now doing much more in sports markets. And Kalshi is a regulated exchange, so I believe they're legal in all 50 states. So you can now make sports predictions with monetizing on Kalshi, I believe, in all 50 states.
So I mean, at this point, the horse is out of the barn. So I think building a better experience that captures a lot of the appeal is genius. It's one reason why I love what you're doing with SportsPredict, because a lot of the things that motivates, and I'll just speak for myself here. And again, like I'm a very small time bettor where win or lose, it really is not material. And so then if that's the case, then why do I bet? And a lot of it is around what you're describing, which is like, I think I know something that others do not know. Like, I think that guy's a bum and is overrated, and this person is, or this team, is underrated or whatnot. And so I feel somehow obligated to make good on my prediction. But a lot of the benefit is social and psychic in my case, because it's not really about the money. I'd actually have to go into my records to see whether I'm in like this tiny 3% proportion that has made money on FanDuel. I actually have no idea what I've made. I can say with total confidence, I have not won or lost a great deal of money on FanDuel, which itself might make me somewhat remarkable, because it's like maybe I'm just making embarrassingly low bets, which I probably am.
But wait, it's even worse than that. If you are one of those 3%, a lot of times the companies like FanDuel and DraftKings will do something called throttling. They either restrict how much you can bet or completely ban you from their sites. So that's something that a lot of people don't know, is if you have a track record that's extraordinarily good, you probably won't be welcome on those websites for very long, on those apps, or you will not. Your money will no longer be taken. The risk will no longer be taken by them. So it's really a difficult way to make money.
This podcast is sponsored by Helix Sleep. I have been a proud, happy Helix Sleep customer for years now because my mattress just keeps on giving. I've always been someone who thought, you know what, you should invest in a proper mattress because you're on your back or your belly or your side for 8 hours a night. So I ordered an Ultra Dawn firm mattress, and it has been a game changer. I've had it for, now years, and I'm telling you, total transformation. Go to helixsleep.com/yang for 25% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/yang for 25% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/yang. It's a very difficult way to make money. So a lot of us are doing it for non-monetary reasons. And I think that's what SportsPredict has a chance to capture, because we just want to be able to assert our point of view and that our sense of things is correct or incorrect. I mean, I guess most of the time we want to be right. We want to share it with other people. We want a track record. We want someone to document it. We want to, be able to catalog like wins and losses in that way, all of which SportsPredict enables. And it seems that SportsPredict is cost-free, but also that you could benefit in real life if you were to become an all-star predictor.
Yes. So, a few things there. Yeah, I talk a lot about chess because I was a chess player. I could tell you my chess rating for my entire life, and by the way, I can go online and look it up. I have a track record of my chess rating, and I care passionately about my chess rating. Whatever rating, and that's true of not just me, but just about everyone. Whatever rating you are, whether you're an 800, you want to be a 900. If you're a 1200, you want to be a 1300. Yeah, everyone has through a rating something that they want to accomplish, and they want to get better, and they're taking lessons, and they're playing more, and they're thinking about the game more. And everyone has a goal that they can accomplish that's reasonable for them. That's what a rating does for you. So on our website, as a predictor, you get a rating. Your rating, in our case, goes from 0 to 100, which is the number of people, what percentage
Very
of people.
intuitive, yeah. All right, sure.
Yeah. So instead of an 800 rating, if you're one of the best predictors, you might be a 98, which means you're better than 98% of the people in predicting the NFL or UFC. And whatever rating you are, you always want to get better. And that gives you something that the gambling sites don't give you. Also, it gives you status. I talk a lot about Magnus Carlsen. He's the best chess player. In his career, he's made about $10 million in chess prize money from events, but he's made hundreds of millions of dollars from his status as the best chess player. The status has been more valuable to him than the actual prize money. And I talk about while I say there's not a lot of work done on predictions, the best work and the most famous work done on this is done by a professor named Philip Tetlock at the University of Pennsylvania. He wrote a book called Super Forecasting that had ran forecasting tournaments and looked at whether some people were predictably better than other people. And he found out that they were. And he found out that they had certain qualities that you could learn from to become a better predictor. And he actually asked a group of them to come together and work together and see if they were even better as a group. That group has become very famous in prediction circles. They basically win almost every contest. And most of these contests are not, by the way, for a lot of money. And some of these people are pretty well paid, like computer programmers, et cetera, but they love it. They want that status, and they want that proof that they're the best. They've actually gone on to create a consulting company from this group on how for companies to make better predictions. So here we're creating something that's new in predictions. We're giving you a chance to prove you have a status. If you're as good at UFC predictions as you might be, Andrew, you might be a 98 or a 99 in this. And that's something that if you play against other people who play in predictions in the UFC, they'll know what that means. And that will give you credibility in a way that telling your friends that you make money on DraftKings, a lot of people say that. A lot of times it's not exactly true. I'm not saying you're lying about that or you're not, but you know what I'm saying? If somebody says, I make all this money on gambling.
Yeah. But the truth of it, Steve, is a lot of people probably honestly believe they make money in gambling, but then when you actually look at the books, it's like they didn't. Because at least for me, I'll be honest, like I probably remember the things I got right 10 times more often than the things I got wrong.
That's true. That's true.
And I will say, if I ever got to a 98% predictor score, I would just retire immediately because it would just go downhill immediately, straight away as soon as I got there. There are also times when I do something, it's probably, and there must be other gamblers that do this, but that I put money on an outcome that I don't actually think is going to happen, but just because I want it to happen. I'll put a trivial amount of money. I'll give you the most basic examples. I bet on the Mets winning the World Series this year. And I felt like I overpaid even in the moment, but I was like, screw it. I'm a Mets fan, and if they win the World Series, I want even more reason to celebrate. Yeah. So obviously that didn't go so well.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing that's wrong with that. But you could also, we have futures markets on events on SportsPredict. You could say you bought the Mets at 2% back in, and you could again show that you made that prediction on SportsPredict, and so you can show it to people on social media, et cetera. So we hopefully can replicate some of that joy for you as well on SportsPredict.
Yeah, I know. It is a very good feeling when you buy something at a very low percentage, and then it goes up and up. I mean, I had one of those recently. I was in the NBA. I think it was the Thunder last year. I bought them at a certain level, and they just got better and better over time. So I love the spirit of SportsPredict and the execution. You are self-financing this because you're a rich guy.
Uh, I am at this point, and what we really need now to get to the next level is to find a great partner to scale with. Yeah, we have reached out to various partners. Like we reached out to a hedge fund, someone that could be a great investor for this, because they're always looking for analytical talent. And I think SportsPredict.com. Here's my bold statement: is if we can get this to scale, this could become the biggest and most accurate search algorithm for global talent in the world. And here's why.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
people all over the world understand and follow sports and are passionate about it. Billions of people, at least 4 billion people, predict sports or talk about sports prediction in one way or another. There's probably no other topic that has as many people passionate about it. Yeah, the English Premier League has fans in probably 180 countries who all have strong opinions on which teams are more likely to win or not. So you have, first of all, a broad appeal. Second of all, you have an amazing amount of data available on sports because so many people love sports that they create these great databases of data and put them out on the web on the internet basically for free. So you have all these people who care about sports. You have an amazing amount of data. Now with the large language models, the ChatGPTs of the world, you can do amazingly great data analysis anywhere in the world at near free. I talk about how 5 years ago, the amount of data online for sports was a lot less. And second of all, your ability to really assess that at a high level of was probably not fair between, if you're a teenager in Peoria, Illinois versus a computer science major at Stanford, that probably wasn't a very fair contest 5 years ago. Now it's pretty fair. There's not a whole lot of difference between the ability of those two groups of people to be able to actually compete in doing data analysis for this. So we talk about the movie Moneyball, and how they use data analytics to change how people think about baseball. There are people out there, whether in the United States or all over the world, who are probably amazingly good at this and have the skill set, but don't have a platform to be able to show it. And I hope as we scale this and as more people play, it turns out that the best predictor of the NFL is like a 14-year-old girl from Indiana. I want to be able to find those talents and give them something that they can really point to, proving their credibility, proving their track record of making great predictions.
This podcast is sponsored by ExpressVPN. How did you choose which internet service provider to use? The sad thing is, most of us didn't have much of a choice because ISPs operate a lot like monopolies in the regions that they serve. They then use this monopoly position to take advantage of customers, and yes, they even sell your data, your activities to advertisers and big tech companies, and you don't see a dime. That's why I protect my internet surfing and devices with ExpressVPN. When you use ExpressVPN, it's like a magic portal to a perfectly safe and anonymous internet. And don't take my word for it. This is the #1 VPN service according to CNET. It's used by major companies all over the world. So stop handing over your personal data to ISPs and other tech companies who then mine your activity and sell off your information. Protect yourself with a VPN I trust to keep my privacy online. Visit expressvpn.com/yang. That's expressvpn.com/yang to get 3 extra months free. Go to expressvpn.com/yang right now to learn more. Yeah, what this reminds me of a little bit is an '80s movie called The Last Starfighter, where like everyone's playing the video game,
Yes.
and then it turns out that means that they're great at killing aliens in a spaceship. Or more recently, F1. It's like everyone was able to drive, and then it's like, oh, the kid who's the best at the video game, like let's get him behind the wheel of a real car. in this case, it's a level playing field because, like you said,
Yeah.
the sports everywhere, info's everywhere. And then you get the very best and say, hey, let's get you a real car, which I don't know what a real car would mean in this context. It's probably here's like a, like geopolitical events or investment. I made the case that AI was going to come eat the jobs, which I saw as completely evident and obvious, and I think is being borne out pretty well.
Yeah.
and then people come to me and it's like, oh wow, yeah, you really called that. And there is like a dearth of people who seem to be just trying to forecast what the heck is going to go on. You see it in a business setting sometimes, you see it in an investment context sometimes, but how does one actually make the market for it and prove one's ability?
Yeah.
SportsPredict could help make that happen. You're like building the last starfighter for
another geeky reference
predictors.
might be I don't know if you ever read the book or saw the movie Ender's Game, which was like
I just had my son read that because I loved it so much.
Like a global talent search. And it turned out that the smartest people in the world were kids. I actually think that might be true here in SportsPredict as well. It wouldn't shock me that the best predictors are people who are under 18 years old, people who don't have a chance to participate in sports gambling. At least we hope they're not participating in it.
We hope not. You never know with these apps. Getting them in.
I actually think, I think about myself at that age and how obsessed I was with sports. If I would have had the data and LLMs and my passion for sports and my obsession with trying to play games at that age, I think I would have been a great predictor. I think I would have been, a really competitive person in this contest. And I think a huge amount of the people that I hope will love this will be that age demographic who can now, show them what I love. When I played chess as a kid, I loved it because when I went to a chess tournament playing against adults, I was taken seriously. No one was going to let me win. I was considered a fully adult and human person, and at that age, that feels really good. Here, you're taken seriously as well. Everyone's taken seriously on SportsPredict, and everyone can play.
Well, I love it. I love the vision. I do think that the satisfaction people get is primarily psychic and social, and the record. And this could actually enhance people's lives without any of the many, many negative side effects of gambling apps. Oh my gosh!
I'm going to brag a little bit. This is my Formula One track record. I've made 254 predictions. I've been right 65% of the time. I'm at 99 in Formula One. I am a deep Formula One geek. So that's probably my absolute sport that I'm a good predictor at.
So Steve, I'm guessing the website is sportspredict.com. If people want to go join, check it out.
Yep, and we love feedback from people. We're always trying to make the site more fun and more engaging for people. Even equally importantly, we'd love to have more partners. I'd love to be partnered with Amazon Web Services, who works with Formula One. I think that would be a fun partnership. Or maybe IBM Watson in tennis that talks about how to use data to be a better tennis player and also be a better tennis fan. These are the kind of partnerships that we think could really launch us to the next level. So we love users to play and have fun with it. For the next UFC, I'll be happy to set up some markets for you to participate in. I'd love for you to give it a try and see how. And we can talk. We can find out how good a predictor you really are.
I'm very excited to give it a try and to get myself a ranking. Steve Kuhn, SportsPredict.com. Congratulations on just building a better thing instead of saying, oh, like these guys are doing it in a way that's harmful or trying to be negative. You're just trying to build something that young you would have enjoyed. I think people can understand that spirit. And I look forward to a day when people can actually brandish their predictor scores and get the kind of recognition they deserve.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. I think you said it very well, and I appreciate your kind words.